ever. So we did something a little bit different last night. I don't know if anybody ever traveled down I-80, but I-80 between Michigan and Ohio, they actually have RV hookups on the expressway. So for $20 a night, you can get 50 amp, 30 amp, just regular 110. So it's actually a pretty good deal for $20. I mean, I'm not sure how you can beat that. So about, I think, 10 stalls here. You can see a picture. I'll include it. Either I open this video up with it or I'll include a picture later, but it's really a good deal. Kind of out of the way. They have a machine, so the key is you have to ensure that you bring cash, because they only take cash, but you know, most rest stops do have that ATM inside, so you can definitely get that money inside if you need it. But it's a pretty good place. The police do patrol, so once you pay for it, you then take your receipt from the machine and you put it in the window, and that then lets you know you pay. If not, you know, it's a possibility they'll wake you up at night and be like, hey dude, did you pay or not? So also make a note, you know, make sure you carry that piece of pen and paper, because a lot of times machines just don't have that receipt to give you once you actually pay for it. So keep me a pen and paper handy. And what I usually do is, if I pay for it, there's no receipt, I'll take it, put a little note in the window, in the windshield, and I would just say, hey, paid $20, no receipt in the machine, thanks. That's really worked out well. I haven't had a problem at all. And it's really quiet, so the people that are there, you know, really seem to be pretty courteous, and not a big issue with them being loud or anything like that. So it's definitely an option. So we're up early today. It's 6:02. What we're gonna do is we're gonna roll down to Ohio, and I do have an appointment for my first service. So it's my 20,000 mile service. It's a Service A, so it shouldn't be too expensive. But I do have a couple other things, you know, that I want them to look at. So I don't know who else has had experience with the Mercedes Sprinter, but it seems like the brakes really squeak a lot, and they've really lost a lot of braking power. So that's the first thing that's not on the service that I'd really like them to look at. The second thing that I'm going to have them look at is there's some panels that go down the side of the vehicle. So when I first got the RV, I took a look at those panels, and I could really see that they're wavy and just not straight. Just really didn't look good. It looked really like poor craftsmanship. So as soon as I noticed that, it was probably a week or two of me actually getting the RV. I called back to General RV, and I'm telling you, they were super friendly, super helpful. They said, hey, bring it back in, let's take some pictures of it, because we've never really heard of that. So I was like, no, cool, that's great, I really appreciate it. So I took it back up to them. They're like, okay, yep, we got the pictures, thanks. And they sent it off to Winnebago. So it wasn't long, I mean, probably a couple days. Winnebago came back and said, hey, yep, got it, those aren't right. However, those are actually part of the Sprinter chassis, and we didn't put those on. So that's something you're going to have to go back and talk to Mercedes with. So that's really my plan today. So like I said, brakes, we have the molding down the side, definitely going to talk about that. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but it seems at times when the Sprinter shifts, you know, with the transmission, that it actually feels like it's missing a shift. So I talked to the guy in service when I made the appointment. He's like, yeah, I've never heard of that, but it's definitely times it's troubling because it feels like your transmission's going to drop out. So that's definitely another one I want to have them look at. Hopefully, you know, possibly maybe the transmission's been throwing some codes. They can just plug it in the computer and really just take a look at it. I mean, that might be the piece there. And the last thing that I really have a concern with, not that it's super serious, it's just more frustrating, is the remote to lock the doors. So I was having a conversation with my buddy the other day about, you know, how they can be, you know, 50, 60 feet away from the vehicle and lock the vehicle. And I really see that's true in all the vehicles I've owned before this, but this Sprinter really seems like you need to be touching the RV to lock the doors, and it's really frustrating. You know, your wife and kids walk up to the car and you're lagging a little bit behind. You know, maybe you're with your youngest kid or something, and you're just talking to your oldest. And, you know, you can't unlock the door. You know, like you push the button, you're pushing the button, you're pushing the button, you're pushing the button, and nothing's happening. You know, you get within really literally arm's length of the vehicle, and you can unlock the doors. It's not that it doesn't work, it's just that it has no range. So my suspicion is, which I can be completely wrong because I don't know much about, you know, how the remote works, other than I just push the button and it's supposed to open the doors. Maybe that when Winnebago put the coach together, they put something in front of the sensor, so it's just not working well. So those are kind of the big things that I want to have them look at. And then just an overall general take a look and see what else there could be wrong with the Sprinter. But I've dealt with Akron Mercedes one time before, and I would tell you that they're super friendly, super nice. So I called yesterday to confirm, because today is, you know, the holiday, as people call it. It's really only the 3rd of July. And they did say that I did have an appointment, and they said they'd hook me up with a loaner. He's like, we'll get you in something. So super cool with me. So that's definitely something, you know, I need a car and drive around a little bit. It'll be different, not driving around 24-foot RV, but it'll be a good experience, something different for the kids. So, all right, so sit back, enjoy the ride. I'll include some footage of the trip down there. I'll check back in with you once we get to the actual Mercedes Benz in Akron, get this service. So. All right, well, welcome back to RV Daily Driver. I just finished the 20,000 mile service, and that's actually the first service that's required for the Sprinter chassis. So I know your big question everybody wants to know is, you know, how much did it cost? And I will tell you that at the end of the video, so stick with me and then we'll actually talk about how much it does cost. I'll break down exactly what each part was. And also we'll talk the time frame it took. So like I said before, I went down to Akron, Ohio to get this one serviced. It's not the closest place to my house, but you need to remember that not every Mercedes dealer is actually going to service your Sprinter. So that's something you have to think about. So you definitely need to call ahead and see who can service it for you. So just remember that it's not everybody. So definitely think ahead, call ahead, make sure they can get you in. Just tell them, hey, listen, man, I have a Sprinter, you know what I'm saying? It is an RV. Can you service it? Can you not service it? And then, you know, what time frame it's gonna take. So I would tell you that the service at Akron was extremely quick. Took them less than 2 hours, really user friendly, you know, big shout out to them. I've been there time before when I had a different Mercedes, and they're really, really helpful. I mean, they are nice. They actually gave me a loaner, so if you've never driven another Mercedes, they gave me I think I had an MLB, smaller SUV, you know, pretty nice. So one thing that's really good about Mercedes is if you can drive this, you can drive that, you know, it's definitely not a huge difference. And it's kind of cool. I mean, use that time to go out and do something that you couldn't do in your RV at that time. But I would tell you, when they call you and they say, hey, your Sprinter's done, you're gonna hurry back to get it, because you're just gonna kind of miss it. I mean, I think you kind of fall in love with your coach, and that's, you know, what you like to drive. So just something to think about, you know. But do plan some time, and do, when you call down, ask them, hey, I want to have a loaner. And I'll tell you, Mercedes has always been extremely user friendly for me. So all right, let's get into exactly what they did and what's included on the A service. So I would tell you that they gave me this great breakdown of exactly what is included in that. So let's talk about what they included. So engine oil and filter service included. That's pretty common sense, right? Fuel filter service included. That's good. Check and adjust tire pressure, including spare. So yes, you do have a spare. If you crawl underneath, right before you get to your generator in the back, there is a spare tire under there. You know, you just let it down, you can put it on. But just remember, you do have a spare, you know, worst case scenario if you need it.
honestly, I tell you that, unless I was really in a bad situation, I probably wouldn't even attempt to put the spare on, because it's probably just not going to be that great. Call that roadside assistance you have, get them out there. It's always dangerous when you're changing a tire, especially if you're on the expressway. Pull off as far as you can. If you can limp into somewhere else where you're off the expressway. But just something to think about, that you do have a spare, whether or not you'd like to use it. Just plan ahead and think about whether you're not going to do that or not. Recalibrate tire pressure monitoring system. This Sprinter does not have the tire pressure monitoring system. I will tell you, if you throw the information into Amazon, there are some retrofits you can add. There's a little box that will sit up on your dash. It'll monitor all the tire pressure. So that's something good to have. But honestly, I mean, before you take your coach out on any long trip, invest the time to go ahead, take the tires, check them, make sure they have the right pressure. Could it go up and down? And if you have a question, right inside the door on the driver's side, it'll tell you exactly how much pressure you need to put in there. So it's not a huge deal to try to figure out what you need to do. All right, next thing they did is they inspect all steering and suspension components, checking for steering play. So this is interesting, that right when I got back, right, and as soon as I got in it, I could tell, like, whoa, there's a difference. The vehicle was a lot tighter. So after the previous 20,000 miles, I could see where the steering wheel had a lot more play in it. And that's something that I really noticed, like, whoa, that actually is actually a lot tighter, drives a little bit better. So that was something that I was really impressed with, and I didn't even think they would do that. Inspect brake pads thickness, condition, and a condition of rotors. So they said I was fine, no issue with that. I will tell you that I have experienced a little bit of squeaking with this RV. It's not been bad, kind of comes and goes. Obviously, if you get a lot of brake dust, you definitely spray that down. So something to think about. Sure, you're cleaning your RV regularly. That's really going to help with that. Inspect engine air filter. If you have this and you've had the hood open, right here on the right hand side, you can actually see the filter. Doesn't look bad, so they didn't replace it, just took a look at it. Engine belts and hoses. I mean, that's not something that you think would be bad at 20,000 miles. There wasn't an issue with mine, so I wasn't concerned with that. Check and correct all fluid levels, inspect leaks. Example, everything that is applicable. So I will tell you this, right? I think I kind of got a good deal. So on the way down there, I was actually low on this diesel exhaust fluid. So I was thinking, dude, when I come back, I'm gonna have to fill it up. But guess what? When I got back in, it was full. So I don't know if this works or not, but before you go in, if you are low on that, what you do is you just take and change it so that it shows what your actual level is. So hopefully that'll kind of give them that little poke or the little reminder, and they might just fill you up for free. We'll see. Let me know if that works. Put a note in the comments for me. Ensure brake light, parking light, headlamp. So they're basically going to check all the lights. That's kind of a no-brainer too. I mean, that's definitely something that you would want them to do. So they're going to check all the lights, make sure that nothing's burnt out. I haven't had any problem with lights in the last 20,000 miles, so I don't expect you are either. And the last thing is they're going to reset the maintenance reminder to let you know how much longer you have, and anything like that. So you'll know, if you've had a Mercedes for a while, you'll know that, hey, all right, the next thing I need to think about is there's going to be a level B service that's a little bit more in depth. And I would tell you what's kind of good is they actually provide the list of, hey, these are the things that are required in the B service. So if you want to start to think ahead, like, okay, this is stuff I'm gonna have to think about. It could be a little bit more expensive because you can see the list is double of what they did for the A. So definitely something to think about. So one thing that I was there that I had them take a look at was, it's really just a couple things that I saw to be an issue. So the first thing I had them take a look at is, I'm not sure whether or not your key works well, but my key seems to not have a lot of range. So they did is they went in and checked the key battery. They said the battery was bad, so they replaced that. It wasn't free, wasn't complimentary, so I did pay for that. So that was one issue for sure. And also I've had some issues with the transmission on this, and they actually provided me a checklist to actually try to document when this does occur. How does it occur? Does it occur under load, or what's really the real issue with it? But I couldn't reproduce it. The coach was not showing or throwing any actual codes, so he's like, there's no way to really check it. They took it for test drive, it didn't do it, so They just gave me kind of like a journal I just keep in the car, that if I do have an issue in the future, you know, that's what I'll really take a look at and see like, okay, this makes sense. This is the problem. This is what I should do. You know, write this down. This is when it occurred. So that's something to think about. But again, I can't say enough about Mercedes. They really, I mean, they were so useful, so user-friendly, and again, complimentary car. So you definitely can't beat that for sure. All right, so let's get into the part that really you want to talk about, right? So what does it really cost you to get your 20,000 mile service, and how much do you have to really save up to do that? And I will tell you, it's not as expensive as you think. So definitely take the price that you're gonna pay and then think about, that's the first service you've done, 20,000 miles. So there's no random oil changes at 3,000 miles, no oil changes at 5,000 miles. So you're doing this once at 20,000 miles. So, you know, also the second part you take into factor is it's a Mercedes. So you're definitely gonna pay more if you're driving a Mercedes. So, all right, let's talk the two biggest areas where they really broke it down. And so one's gonna be parts, one's gonna be labor. So as with anything, you take it to a dealer, you know, it's a little bit more expensive, but I think the real key is, the reason I do take it to a dealer is because I can trust the dealer, right? I know they know what they're doing. This is what they do for a living. So that's definitely gives me that level of comfort that I wanna have. Yeah, you could probably take it somewhere else and have it done, right? But it's really about that level of comfort and just really creating that record of maintenance. You're gonna have your RV for a long time. So really, you wanna have that record that shows, hey, this is what I've done for it, this is how I've taken care of it, and that's really what you wanna have. So again, you know, you don't have to take it to a dealer. I like to take it to a dealer because that's really key for me, gives me that level of comfort and creates that record. So that record will definitely be saved with Mercedes. So if in the future, you need to go to another Mercedes, they can pull that up on the computer. So that's definitely good. All right, let's talk about exactly what the parts cost. Hot shots, that's an additive they add for the injectors. $7.95, not bad. They inserted a filter. Retail cost was $21. They hooked me up $13.10. I saved some money on that one, right? Seal ring, $3.40. Diesel exhaust fluid, thought I scored, right? They got me here, right? $4.25. I'm guessing that's a liter, for a total of $34. So what I will tell you is that, wow, that was expensive, right? You can go down and get a half a tank from your local grocery store, you know what I'm saying, Walmart, and guess what? It's gonna be way, way cheaper than that. So that tip I gave you in the beginning, don't use it. It's not working. It actually cost me a lot of money to do that. Next is a fuel filter. So the fuel filter costs me $156. Not bad, right? Not bad. Let's talk about engine oil. Engine oil, $5.22 a quart, right? For a total of $65 just for that, but not bad. Last thing was that battery I talked about. So that battery was $3.50. $3.50. $3.50. A little bit pricey, right? I'm pretty sure you can get the standard, it's a CR 2025. You can pick that up at Walmart for probably $1.50 or so. Maybe I'm completely off, but that would be probably way cheaper to get it from there. So if you got this kind of vehicle and you're looking for a car, the remote battery, CR 2025, something to think about. Not too bad. All right, so total overall for everything that I got, right, to do the complete service, labor again, $312.55. The parts amount was $286.45, and $3.12 of miscellaneous charges. Not bad. Not sure what those mean. Our favorite everybody likes to play is sales tax. $40.65 for the grand total of $642.77. So honestly, you know, when I saw that, I wasn't too sad about it, right? That seems like a reasonable price. All right, like I said, that $642.77 isn't a lot. So if we do the math out there, 12 months we've had it, put 20,000 miles on it, that's not a lot. What's that, like $50 a month? So that's pretty comparative to any other vehicle. And look what you're driving. Really, it's pretty big vehicle, 24-foot long, dual tires in the back, not bad on gas. You do have the point of view, it did add some diesel exhaust fluid since you've had it, but really I was pretty shocked that the price was really good and not, you know, crazy. I was expecting it to really be over $1,000. I can tell you that if you own any other Mercedes, every time you get an oil change, which is, you know, who knows, every 5,000 miles, it's around $300. So it seems that so far the Sprinter has really been cheap for maintenance. I mean, knock on wood or whatever you want to do, whatever your superstition is, I haven't had a lot of stuff break. Definitely no mechanical issues at all with the vehicle. The vehicle's really run like a dream, and it hasn't been a problem. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I really do like about it. It's definitely, you know, great for maintenance. You know, will the next actual service be more expensive? Absolutely, but we still have some time for that, right? So it's not going to be right away, and that's going to be the next 20,000 miles. So that's great that, you know, every 20,000 miles, you know, it gives you time to plan. I mean, heck, throw $50 in savings every month and keep it, and then when the service happens, you're good to go. So, you know, I think the key, and I would just reiterate that, you know, you're going to keep this vehicle for a long time. So it is truly important that you follow the service and maintenance requirements. You know, everybody, unless you paid cash, you have a big loan for this vehicle and you need to take care of it. But one thing I really caution you on is, you know, don't buy this vehicle, leave it sit in the driveway and never drive it. You know, there's a reason you're supposed to drive these vehicles. That's what they're made for. That's why you bought it. You're not doing yourself any favor by having it sit at home in the driveway because you don't want to put miles on it. I'll tell you right now that this vehicle, before I got maintenance on, actually went over. It says 20,000 miles you get a service. I was at 22,000 miles because guess what? We've had this vehicle for less than a year and we drive it. We drive it just like the channel says, daily. My goal is to put as many miles on this as possible to get my money out. Every month you're making a payment, right? Use it, take it out there, do something with it. Don't leave it sit in your driveway. All of us know that every time we drive down the expressway, we can see tons of RVs in storage on the side of the road that they're just paying monthly fees for and they never use the vehicle. The one trip I always take, I always see the same older Era just sitting there. Nobody's taking it out for a drive, has tire covers on it, sits there every time back and forth. So please, if you buy this vehicle, do the maintenance like required and actually use the vehicle. Don't let it just sit in the driveway. All right. Lastly, I would just say that if you like this content, you do have a Class B, you're thinking about a Class B, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, throw me something in the comments. You know, tell me what you want to see. What do you want to see the next video on? You know, I appreciate you being here. So have a great day and be careful out there on the road.